I am promoting my blogging ebooks. I have 9 of them. And also my blogging courses. I have 2 of those. These are super helpful guides to help you along on your blogging journey. So stop by bloggingfromparadise.com, click on the ebooks tab, click on the courses tab, and check them out. Give them a look. And if any resonate with you, pull the trigger, meaning buy them. Now, one ebook that would go along well with this video is creating the mindset of a successful blogger. I wrote an in-depth guide that will step you through the process of developing a successful blogging mindset. So you're thinking, feeling, and acting like a successful blogger. Because, guys, that's the only way you will succeed. You have to think, feel, and act like a pro, patiently, persistently, generously. Of course, that's hardwired in order to become a professional. So that ebook, which is really an in-depth, I keep using the word, but it's a detailed manual. These are really, really thorough pieces of content, premium content that are robust. So again, guys, you can check it out at bloggingfromparadise.com on the ebooks tab. And I sell them through, some through PayHip, some through Gumroad. So guys, let's dive in. What about AI generated blog posts? So we're talking AI created content and blogging. There seems to be some popularity as I go through the blogging hashtag on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, but especially LinkedIn and Twitter. As I follow this hashtag, I'm seeing more discussion about artificial intelligence and blogging as far as creating blog posts. Some bloggers use AI to brainstorm. Some bloggers use AI to outline their posts. And some bloggers are attempting to use AI to write blog posts for publishing. So right there, well, before we dive in, my suggestion before you do anything with artificial intelligence and blogging is to listen to your intuition, to trust your gut and see what it tells you, not the ego. Because the ego blogs from fear, and fear always wants something quickly by taking shortcuts. So let's just rewind for a few moments. Let's go back a few moments. Well, technically everything's the moment. When I said bloggers use AI to write blog posts, the ego will say, and it's saying it through a lot of advertisements and a lot of claims and promises, that bloggers are writing blog posts through AI, with AI. In less delicate parlance, that's bullshit because the blogger's not writing the blog post. I write blog posts because I type here on this laptop with my mind, with divine intelligence, with intelligence. So when you use artificial intelligence, it's the artificial intelligence that's re-scrambling, regenerating words. It's spinning words to artificially create content. So it's doing the artificial creating. Not only that, there are ethical concerns, there are moral concerns, because you put, now I'm talking in the case of bloggers who are using AI to churn out a high volume of content by employing the artificial intelligence to write most of a blog post. There are ethical concerns, morality, but let's just say ethical concerns. When you're saying this blog post was written by human name, like you're saying you wrote it, yet artificial intelligence created it. So you didn't write it. It did. And it didn't even write it. It just took a bunch of mumbo jumbo and word scramble and it put them together. Some bloggers are attempting to use AI to create content artificially generated, and then they'll hop in and they'll edit it. They'll tighten it up. And then they claim that it's fooling Google and that you better get on board now. See, that's how the ego blogs. It does things from fear, scarcity, illusion, smoke and mirrors. So obviously you kind of get where I'm coming from on AI and blogging. I feel you have to make your own decision, but from my perspective, if you use it for light work, brainstorming, setting up an outline, I feel like that's ethical because you're doing 80 to 90% of the thinking, of the creating, of the authentic delivering. So when readers read a post and it said, like on my blog, if I used AI and I don't use it at all, but if I used AI and I just maybe did a little brainstorming and I set up an outline, but then I sat down and over a half hour, an hour, like I wrote tomorrow's post in like 45 minutes. Like it's all done. I'll just have to proofread it and publish it tomorrow. But it took me 45. Let's just say 45 minutes. So I sat down for 45 minutes and Ryan Bidoff with the mind wrote a post. So then when people see it tomorrow and it says by Ryan Bidoff, that's ethical. Yet when you chose not to use your mind and your talents and your skills and your creativity and your intuition to create a piece of content primarily, if you say, here, let AI create the content, let it mumble jumble and put all these words together, and then you say that you wrote it, that's bullshit. You didn't write it. AI did. And AI didn't even write it. It took mumble jumble. You're right, Kay. That's the key. Now, again, guys, you do whatever you do. If you want to use AI to create a full blog post and then say you wrote it, go ahead. But there's something the ego is really good at. It pushes away guilt, because you will feel guilty if you say you wrote something and a computer wrote it. If something artificial crafted a post, surface level, it works. I'm making money. I've reached this point in Google. You better get behind. So the ego creates all these fear-based facades, this topical facade of horse shit. It's bullshit. It's lying to you to cover up the fact that it feels unbelievably guilty about lying to readers. So when the ego feels like, and I like saying the ego because it's so funny, you're seeing a really interesting projection of the ego through this AI, trying to get something for nothing, robbing yourself of the opportunity to develop skills, robbing yourself of the opportunity to think. You can use it, but you'll never feel completely clear on it. And there's a good reason for it. Part of the human experience, even though you and I are spirit imagining the world, we're mind dreaming the world, part of this allegedly human experience, but this experience is to help people with your talents and your mind and your skills, is to fulfill yourself, fulfill the mind by practicing, by facing your fears. It's to love. And by love, it's just not asking, serving, not asking. That's why you're here. That's why you came to planet Earth. When you attempt to use something artificial to do that for you, you outsource the reason why you're alive. And that's in the case of trying to use AI to publish posts, to write the whole post. And then you go in and you say, wow, this looks pretty good. You know, it sounds pretty believable. Let me just edit a little bit. You're robbing yourself of the opportunity to be alive. Does that sound like it's a good thing to do? Does it sound fun? Does it sound like it's fulfilling? Or does it sound like it's depressing? Does it sound like it's something you might be a little afraid to do when you get deeper and deeper into the implications of handing your value, your worth as a blogger over to something artificial? Are there maybe legal implications here? When you claim to write something, but something that you paid $40 a month for is now running your business, or is the backbone of your business, or a human being reads a post and it turns out the advice they got in the post was not from you, the name you put published by, not the name of the blogger who claims to have published it, but came from an artificial, mindless, alleged intelligence that you paid $40 a month for? Do you want to hand over your business to something that you pay $40 a month for? Do you want to hand over your reputation? Do you want to hand over your brand? Do you want to hand over your income? Have you thought these things through? No, none of the people that are pushing AI are thinking these things through, because the split second you do, you wouldn't use it to create a whole blog post. If you want to use it to brainstorm for a little bit, if you want to use it to set up an outline, that's fine. But once you get into using it to publish an entire piece of content, or to create most of it, you're getting into murky waters legally, because it's borderline fraudulent to say that you wrote it and something that's not even real did. Have you thought of that yet? Have you thought of that legally, how that would stand up in court? If somebody looks at a post and says, you said it was you, like you're literally putting your whole career on the line for a $40 a month or $50 a month. It's not even real. Have you thought about it yet? Like, here we go. If you're an atheist, you probably want to turn this video off, but that's okay. God created us in spirit. He created us as love. Our whole experience here, even if we go through some chaos in the mind, and all of us do from time to time, maybe a lot of the time, but whatever, we're doing the best we can. But when you start using something artificial, you start sacrificing and pushing that love and pushing it out of your awareness. And you're just using something that's not even real to try to get money and to try to trick people into thinking it's you. Don't you understand how that's unethical and immoral? When, again, and that's the thing I have to add, guys, I'm not talking about using it to like, oh, let me set up this outline. Because when you're setting up an outline with AI, and even then, I still think you're robbing yourself if you're setting up an outline or brainstorming with AI, because if you use your mind, you'll never have to set up an outline. If you strengthen this, the outline will just, God created us pretty awesomely. It's brainstorming, same deal. Guys, I since pulled them to focus on promoting a few ebooks, 9 ebooks. And I said, again, creating the mindset of a successful blogger. That's a real good addition to this video. So feel free to stop by bloggingparadise.com and pick it up. And I may re-release some of these ebooks, but I just felt this intuitive pull. Intuition told me, pull all of them, stick with 9 and 2 courses and just promote the stuffing out of those. But I wrote and self-published 90 ebooks in 3 months. That's one 8,000 word ebook every single day. I wrote 8,000 words in 3 to 4 hours every single day, 3 months in a row. And I was in Bali in 2015. I'm saying I, but ultimately it was spirit. It was intuition. It was just stream of consciousness. It came to me. I wrote it. That experience of honing my mind by listening to my intuition and just letting it guide me, that created such great fulfillment, fun, happiness. And I developed my mind strength, my mind training. I trained it to become prolific, to be helpful. When you try to use something artificial that isn't even intelligent, it's just artificial, to create most of your posts and then to start spitting out all this content like a glorified artificial content mill, you're robbing yourself of the fun of life and why you're here. You're not here to have something artificial, to have bots do all the work for you or do most of it. And then on a deeper level, you get into the ethics, you get into more morals, and then you get into laws. Oh, I run this blog, I'm the blogger, but something artificial created most of this post and then I proofread it. But here's what the ego does, the excuse, but you make a lot of money with it. I just watched The Wolf of Wall Street with my wife. Great movie. But you see, guys, when you allow the ego to call all the shots, when it's not about having fun helping people and serving them and trying to take shortcuts and trying to rush things and trying to get where you're not just giving and then not asking, giving and trusting, you walk down dicey paths in life. And AI is potentially, depending on how you use it, I should say how extensively you use it, it'll get really dicey. And you have to beware greed and desperation, guys, because there's a lot of bloggers that have a lot of fear in their mind, maybe well-meaning folks on some level, but have a lot of fear, and their greed and desperation is getting the best of them because they're like, yeah, but it works. So what if it's unethical? So what if I'm saying this post is mine and something that I paid $40 a month for is artificially creating it by spinning words from around the web already, and it sounds really good. Well, it works and it sounds really good. Yeah, but if it's not ethical or moral, it's not even so much that it's wrong. It will pull you in a very bad direction eventually. You will run into problems, guaranteed. It always catches up to you. You can't outrun your mind. If you do something that you know is unethical, and everybody who's watching this video who will ever use AI knows it's unethical to say, I wrote this post, and then to have artificial intelligence craft it. And then you try to push down that guilt. You try to push it down under layers of, well, it works, well, it ranks, it'll make a lot of money. And I'll be creating a 3,000 word blog post in 15 seconds. That's how the ego works. It's doing the wrong thing on a worldly level, doing things from fear and guilt and shadiness and desperation and greed. And it shoves that down. It doesn't face it under layers of, it works, it'll make you a lot of money. It's classic. Again, looking at that movie, I'm like, this is a really good encapsulation. And it will just catch up to you eventually. So if you're going to use AI, guys, with your blog, I would suggest ethically, to get clear, to have fun, to not rob yourself of developing skills and having fun and loving folks and spreading love and helping people, to use it very sparingly for base functions, really simple stuff. Maybe brainstorming. AI spit out these ideas and then I wrote the post. Maybe setting up an outline. AI set up this outline, then I wrote the post. Always write all of your own content. Always write all of your own content. Always write all of your own content. Because if you don't, you will start having problems. And those problems will catch up to you. And the reason why is when you're not always writing your own content, you stop being a blogger and you start being someone else. Because bloggers blog. You'll rob yourself of love. You'll rob yourself of your quote unquote human experience. I mean, all really spirit, but you'll rob yourself of why you started blogging. And it'll only be because of your fear manifest as greediness, desperation, wanting to take huge shortcuts, or what the world would just call a shortcut, wanting something for nothing, and all of these fear-based motivators that will cause problems in your life because the fears are in your mind. So if you don't face them and you try to look for a shortcut or you try to push down, well, under greed and you can get a lot of traffic, they work. That fear will reflect back to you because your life is your mind reflected back to you. It will come back to you in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't end well. It doesn't. So don't give in to fear, guys. Don't give in to greed. Don't give in to desperation. And don't trust the ego because the ego is going to be manifest. You'll see it. You'll see that reflection, that illusion through a lot of glowing promises made through creators of AI and a small selection of bloggers who are like, yeah, I'm going to write the whole post with AI. And it's not that I disagree with you guys, because I know some folks in my blogging circles use it to write the whole post. I don't disagree with you doing it. Do what you do. I'm saying for me and what I advise other bloggers who are following me or who've, bought my ebooks, bought my courses, follow my blog, who trust me, this is what I intuitively feel. So I'm putting it out there. But if you're using it, go ahead, but at least give yourself a few moments, lock yourself in a quiet room and start sitting with the motivator to use it extensively. When I'm saying using it, I mean using it to write the whole post or using it to mass create hundreds of posts or thousands, using it to do most of the writing work or all the writing work for you. All. If you're using it for base functions, even if it continues to grow as a trend, be very careful because trying to get something for nothing or trying to get something by doing a little bit or saying because other people are doing it that you're going to do it because it's a trend, that doesn't end well. It doesn't work well. I'm not focusing on a doomsday scenario here yet. When you outsource the ability to think, when you outsource your thinking, when you outsource sitting with writer's block, when you outsource not facing your fears, like, well, I'm not going to face my fear with writer's block. I'm just going to use this artificial thing that I pay $40 a month for to spit out all these articles. When you start outsourcing all of these critical mental tasks that make you generous, fulfilled, creative, prolific, beneficial, useful, imaginative, that make you having this experience, you will give your power, slowly but surely, your usefulness, your effectiveness, your responsibilities, your clarity, your essence over to something artificial that's not real, that's not human, that doesn't have a heart, that doesn't have a soul. Does that sound like a great idea? So you become stupider and less emotionally intelligent, and the world's pretty stupid and largely lacks emotional intelligence because you and I know how easily almost every mind is manipulated with fear. We know it. Most people, no, we're definitely not. I'm totally free. It's like, yeah, okay. When you're born, you enter this, you come here in this human body, this mind, this spirit, love. You're born, you have unlimited free will. It's not even like you wouldn't even say you have unlimited rights. I guess you could say that you just have unlimited free will. So rights are infinite. Then the world, the ego, says, name them, put the name on a birth certificate. In that split second, until you master your mind or you start taking that journey and start training your mind, you are ruled by fear and punishment. If you want to test that theory at any point in your life, break a law, you'll be punished with fear. If they know. If they know. That's the matrix. It's not an illusion. Well, it is an illusion because fear is an illusion, but on a worldly level, it's just how it's set up. Do you think it's a good idea when you're living in this world of illusory world of fear and punishment to hand over your ability to think, your strength, your sharpness, your power, because everything is mind, over to something artificial, so you become less emotionally intelligent, you become more afraid, you become less intelligent, become stupider, more dull, more mindless, over to a system? I'm talking about, it becomes the system. Ultimately, it has to. Who would want to make you stupider? Love? Does God want to make you dumber? Does God want to make you more scared? No, God is love. He wants you. It's just this spirit called the Holy Spirit, called to intuition. It just wants you to shed all these fears so you could see the light and see that, this farce has gone far enough. But my point is, guys, tying this into AI, the more unintelligent you become, and when you don't think, you become less intelligent. That's pretty evident. All of us can agree on that. And the less emotionally intelligent you become, which means you do more from fear and less from love, so you step deeper into the illusion and more away from reality, it becomes easier for artificial whatever, call it intelligence, call it bots, call it artificial minds that aren't real, to manipulate stupid people and scared people. So at the base, when you really think about it, I don't want to sound doomsday, I don't want to sound Terminator-esque, but is it really smart? Is it wise? Do you think it's a good idea to hand off more of your intelligence and emotional intelligence? You become less intelligent and more afraid because you're not doing the thinking. You're not facing the fears of having writer's block. You're not facing the frustration and letting it go. You're not expressing that fear. You're burying it deeper and handing everything over to something that doesn't even exist. And even though it's artificial, the less you think and the less you develop your mind strength and the less you face your own fears by going through it yourself, you will become more scared and you will become less intelligent. So that's a bad combo, to be stupid and scared. And even if artificial intelligence doesn't appear to get smarter, the more stupid and scared you become, the easier it is for something that doesn't even exist, that says it stays at its same level, to manipulate you and to take over. We don't need bloggers anymore. These idiots trust anything that these artificial bots, and most people say no. And the more we wake up, we'll never reach that point. And I don't feel we will. But you do have to think about it. Is it really a good idea that all this outsourcing that I'm doing, and this isn't the case of people that are handing it, that are pushing it as something that we all need to use, or that don't be left behind. That's the ego. It's the ego. It's like in A Course in Miracles, guys. Jesus says the ego is a death wish. And he's right, because you think you die. But my lesson today was, there is no death. The Son of God is free, because we're just spirit and we go forever. That's the reality. But the ego is a death wish. So this would be another, not even so much nail in the coffin, but just this idea of outsourcing all these mental sharpening experiences. I wouldn't be the blogger I am today. I wouldn't be circling the globe and having fun and feeling free, being one of the free folk, unless I faced a lot of fear and did a lot of writing and faced the frustration and expressed the fear. When you outsource that and you bury fears deeper in your awareness and don't face them, you have a lot of problems because you're not facing the fear and they keep reflecting back to you. And of course, you're going to outsource facing those fears. You're going to push them out deep in your awareness. You're going to say, oh, no problem. This AI can handle everything. So, guys, I'm talking about the extreme cases of bloggers that are like, I'm going to use AI to do all the work for me. You could do it, but you have to understand the repercussions. There's no such thing as something for nothing. Don't trust the ego. There's not. There's not. Now, the more you dig into your mind and you do things from love and being prolific and helping others, like the whole meaning of life is for you to sit down and help other people with your mind. That's why we're here. That's the whole meaning of life. If you outsource that to something for $40 a month, something artificial to do it for you, even if you gained the world, and the world's kind of an impossible situation anyway, but even if you became worldly rich, it wouldn't feel good at its base. And like I mentioned before, when you're not thinking and you're not really sharpening your mental tools, you're in trouble, guys, because you become less intellectually intelligent. And again, the emotional intelligence. You'll bury your fears in blogging, creating, using AI for a little bit, but then sitting down and writing your posts. That's the whole point. That's how you're going to face your fears. That's how you're going to become mentally strong. That's how you're going to become more fearless. When you outsource that process to something artificial, things get dicey, even if you have worldly success. And in truth, guys, in almost every case you won't, because the guilt you're pushing out of your awareness deeper into your mind for what you believe is lying to people when you're using it to create your posts. And then the ego will say, the ego loves to lie. It's a great deceiver. Like, oh yeah, his post, and I proofread it. And again, not disagreeing, go for it. I'm sharing this take to help you think through using AI to write a whole post or to mass publish hundreds or thousands of posts. You see the advertisements. Create this post in 15 seconds. Got to get on board. It's the trend. No, you don't. No, you don't. Of course you don't. That's the ego. That's fear. That's greed and desperation. It just seems to make sense because there's fear, there's greed and desperation. So if you have fear in your mind, greed and desperation will not be greed and desperation. It'll make perfect sense. And there's a way to make more money. It's funny to see and it's amusing. But I just wanted to give half hour. I got to get to my yoga now for the evening. Give you guys a half hour and talk about this topic and my perspective on it. And also to promote the ebooks again and the courses. So stop by bloggingparadise.com. The one ebook that does go well with this, with the mindset, creating the mindset of a successful blogger. I think that one's through PayHip, I believe. But that you could find under the ebooks tab, and it'll really sharpen your mind. And it will help you see that, guys, this just isn't the way. You don't ethically, morally, deeper, legal ramifications, greater depth into your mind, like going a little bit deeper, like the whole purpose why you're here is to love and to serve with your own mind and your own creations. Or you could say with creations of spirit, really. I'm still talking about your own creations, but just even on a worldly level, just to create something and to help people. And when you say, I'm not going to create it, but I'll step in and maybe do a little proofreading, then you're robbing yourself of the human experience. You're robbing yourself of expressing love. And it's not a good idea when your whole life is mind. You think, you feel, you act based on what's in your mind. When you start taking that and you hand it off to something artificial, doesn't that seem like that could lead to something pretty unpleasant? If more and more bloggers and then humans, and then you're like, oh, if I could do it with blogging, I could do it here. I could hand off everything. Forget about being miserable and struggling and having issues. It's like eventually when we're really stupid intellectually, like, because we're not thinking, And we have very low emotional intelligence. So we believe people who lie to us and we distrust people who tell us the truth. We're scared. We'll listen to anything. Then even if AI doesn't get smarter, it'll be so much easier to fool us with artificial intelligence that didn't even get more intelligent. We just got a ton more stupid and a ton more scared. This world's an illusion, but that's still asinine. And then if AI does become a little intelligent or a lot more intelligent as they keep working on it, and then we become stupider and more scared, how do you think that's going to wind up? Not good. Not good. So, guys, just some food for thought. Ultimately, love is real and fear is an illusion, even if it feels really scary. So keep going within your mind, guys. And again, this is why you want to do the thinking yourself. You want to do the blogging yourself. It feels more fulfilling and fun. You'll be more sharp-minded, stronger-minded. And it's the whole point of why we're blogging. That's it for tonight, guys. Thanks so much, David, Lamin, Kay, friend in Malaysia, Bubakar, and the peeps over on YouTube. Stop by bloggingfromparadise.com. We have ebooks there, written by a human, written by a little bit of divine intelligence, written by Ryan Bidoff, the time-space creature. And we have 2 courses as well, so check them out. Feel free to share the ebooks, the courses, my blog. Love you guys. I'll have to do some evening yoga, mindfulness. Until next time, enjoy paradise all.